starting on the video game side of things, Megaman 2, as you mentioned, was released on July 11th, 1989. Considered probably one of the best games of the 8-bit generation.
And of the franchise, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a
Fans kind of go back and
to
forth
make.
with whether or not 2 or 3 is really the best Mega Man game.
Right. I mean, kind of surprising it even really came out at all, right?
Sure, because the first one wasn't that big a hit. But word of mouth kind of spread. I remember hearing about it literally on the playground at school. My friends were telling me about this new game that I had to check out.
It's like while they were beating you up. They were
Yeah.
like, check out that.
So you don't know
It's
what
the
Mega
early
Man is?
days of IGN, just people beating you up on the playground.
But the Capcom let the creators go ahead and make a sequel, and then Nintendo Power really pushed the sequel. It got a cover feature, it had a huge spread in the magazine, and I remember checking it out and being amazed at how big the sprites were. I was like, oh my god, this is Robot Dog, it's like a fourth of my TV screen. And then it was a big hit. It was a huge success.
That was back in the day, too, when games were freaking hard. I mean, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
We kind of had a resurgence of that recently, but Mega Man 2 was
They actually
super
introduced
tough.
a password system for the sequel, so it made it a little bit easier. So it would say, after you beat a boss, it would give you a password that you could.
And in the instruction manuals, there was always the field for notes that I actually used for all those
Right.
passwords. Yeah, Mega Man 2 was a weird one because I didn't have an NES, and so I would go to my friend's house, and I was like pretty young. I was in like 1st or 2nd grade, and I would go to my friend's house to play NES, and he had Mega Man 2, and like his like older brother played and could like beat it, but like I literally couldn't do it. I was like awful. Like I was like embarrassingly bad.
One of the cool things about it was if you got stuck on one particular boss, you could go try another one.
Yeah.
I mean, there were opportunities for you to go try something else in the game. You didn't sort of hit this roadblock and you couldn't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Until you got to Dr. Wily, and then it was just
then,
like, yeah.
Yeah. Then you go through the gauntlet.
There have been 10 mainline Mega Man games over the years. Would it surprise you to know that Mega Man 2 is the best-selling of all of them?
Even
all the way
today,
back from
wow.
1989.
That actually wouldn't surprise me. I mean, again, like you're saying, it had such a great buzz at that time. I think it was, 89 was just a monumental year for the NES anyway, and that was really one of the standout games. It's really getting its stride. You know, it had been in the market for, 4 years by that point, so there were a lot of units out there. And it was a great game.
Well, I wonder how much it sold in the first year, because it was going up against all the stuff going on with the Genesis and the Game Boy.
Yeah.
There were other things for gamers to spend their money on. So I wonder if some of those sales weren't, 1990 and maybe in the early 90s. Yeah.
Came out a little bit before the Genesis, but yeah.